Choo. Goopa Loopa. Glunda. Yup, yup. Lana Tutu. Goba Fangoa. Goopa Loopa. Koto Ostoga.
I think I want to get that and put it on like a 1 hour loop.
Nice.
Complete with all the.
I want to play it as I drive my enemies before me.
I can't help it. I'm sitting here. I'm playing the desk as it's going. It just
like back in the day when we used to do that to the dashboard.
On the dashboard of the car. Who's driving? Damn it!
Guess who and the Ewoks.
Put your hands on the wheel. Want to say hello to early tonight, Joe Fan 84. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you very much for dropping in. By the way, my name is Wes, and I'm joined once again with Andy and Hank, and this is Tales from the Moon of Fandor, not to be confused with our other review series, just Fandor.
Plain old Fandor.
Speaking of plain old Fandor, season 2 shaping up to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of news coming out. Well, not lots of news, but enough news to make me go, "Oh, I am very excited for this."
Some cool stuff.
Very excited. We're going to have a lot of time jumps. It's a 12-episode run, and apparently we're going to go from where
the end of last season,
right up to the end or to the beginning of Rogue One. So we're talking like what a 3 or 4 year gap. So
I'm thinking I want to go dark a little because they're already almost giving me more than you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to completely recontextualize Rogue One.
That's what Diego Luna said in an interview.
So then if it doesn't, right? So I kind of want to stay. I really want to enjoy it.
So do I. I mean, I was the one prior to Endor of the three of us. I was like that's my show.
No, 100%.
That's my show. And it 100%. It really was.
And I mean, and it, like I was blown away by it. But the thing I really, honestly, my favorite bits, and we talked about this a long time ago, my favorite bits of Rogue One were K2SO. So that's what I'm sort of looking forward to the most is watching Alan Tudyk cook for 8 or 10 episodes.
I'm interested to know if Tony Gilroy is going to throw the Marvel comic out with the bathwater and just redo the origin, the meeting, or are we just going to glance over that and K2's there now?
Yeah, I think a lot of what Pedro had to say was like it recontextualizes K2. So whether that's because not a lot of people know the Marvel version, or whether you're like you say they're going to just throw it out, and go for broke. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see that little Bix Kayleen crazy Easter egg tie back to Rebels.
Oh my gosh,
the Rise of the Empire book. That was so cool.
There's some I won't call it, I guess you can say it's leaked. There's some stuff that was shown at D23 that hasn't made the rounds, but there's some blurry photographs out there. Talk about the Rebels connection. It looks like Cassian Andor might be the one to get Mon Mothma off of Coruscant.
Yeah, it's definitely looking that way.
That's exciting. I don't want to spoil too much in case for those who are trying to stay what's the word?
Unspoiled?
Sterile. You don't. You want to go into it? Yeah, that's it.
It's called Rogue 2.
Rogue 0.5. One thing I am sure is not going to be there is some Ewoks. Oh, by the way, Ewoks. How about that?
Oh,
you might be there. Come on.
You never know. Before we get into tonight's episode, though, let's open up with one of them bad Star Wars jokes. This one's homegrown. Hank, you wrote this one. So if it falls, well, I shouldn't have said that, because if it falls, you could blame me, but now you can't.
I can't.
Guys, did you hear that Wicket W. Warwick is going to be replacing Steven Tyler as the lead singer of Aerosmith?
I had heard that.
Man, I cannot wait to hear Ewok this way. Time is away. So sad
Where?
to hear Steven Tyler is done touring. So
Mhm.
Done touring.
done touring. Yep.
Relevant joke.
Fractured larynx,
Jeez.
which apparently is
gotta-
a real thing.
Considering the notes he could hit.
Well, the man has already pushed his voice to the limit. His voice has. Listen, our voices change as we get older. Steven Tyler, there's a point where he goes from sounding like a 20-year-old man to what the hell is that?
Mhm.
yeah.
And it's all from the shrieking, screaming that he did in his youth, and that just became his trademark.
And there's got to be some point of like, diminishing returns where that's stops being enjoyable to see somebody torture themselves live. Looking at you, Axl Rose.
Oh, I just saw a clip of Stephen Piercy from Rat last night, and it's hard to watch.
Yeah,
really hard to watch.
It's the same vein as that I Am Celine Dion documentary.
Oh,
And like, I get it.
why is she losing it too?
Her stiff person syndrome is affecting her ability to perform.
Oh yeah, no, not
In the one hand, like it sucks, but on the other hand, she's almost greedy because she's not ready to give it up yet. Right?
no. I would be just after having that Vegas residency.
Yeah.
yeah. When she cooked at the Olympics too, she must have been hopped up on whatever.
Was
Kept her pain free.
It was good.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been very much oblivious to anything Olympic except
That's almost healthy.
the Turkish
The
marksman
Turkish shooter and the Australian
breakdancer.
Yeah.
I've been getting all my
Legitimate
information
breakdancer, by
through.
the way.
Yeah. All my information has been coming through Lauren. So, but she said that was Celine Dion was actually one of the highlights.
Yeah.
Wow. Before we let's get on. I guess we can try to.
He walked back the
Let's
right
circle back to Endor for a minute here. This is it's the fourth episode of season 1.
Yeah.
And this one makes me wonder, were the episodes aired in a particular order? You know how we have the broadcast order for like Clone Wars, and then we have the chronological order.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if there is a chronological order to these. And I say that only because we're introduced to a character in this one that's going to turn up later on. And it makes me wonder if it would make more sense if we'd watch that episode first. I haven't watched it, so I can't answer that question. But I am curious if there is a right order to these.
So knowing a thing or two about how they did animation back in these days is that they would generally like have the whole season in the can.
Yeah.
Like on pitch, like so that you pitch it, you get accepted, you run a rough pilot, and then you do the whole season. So there definitely could be like they could just choose the order before, So it's highly likely that,
or change the order between seasons.
or
they send the wrong tape to the network.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah,
That's never happened.
People in Albuquerque are watching the season finale first. It's always always a chance of that.
TJC in the house. Good evening, sir. I hope you are having a wonderful time. Just a little bit of housekeeping. We are currently experiencing a weather warning for this part of the province where Andy and I live. So, Hank, if you find yourself in the studio alone, that means the lights are out here and the show is yours.
I got a hurricane off to my back, so
oh wow,
right.
we're getting it on both sides.
There you go.
Oh man. So hopefully that won't happen. But I did need to put that out there in case we do have some funky goings on.
Technical difficulties.
We'll try to get back into the studio, but there's no guarantee that will happen. We're actually supposed to be getting lambasted here pretty much any time between now and 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. So for the next 3 or 4 hours. Yeah.
So crazy.
We've already had a few brownouts today.
We'll be driving in it in the morning to PEI.
Should be sorry for that. Sorry for that. Yeah. We're okay here. We're fairly landlocked here in Ontario. Hank is a little bit different on the coast. It's certainly weather is definitely more of a concern for you than it is for us.
Ernesto.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the business for tonight, and that is, of course, Ewoks, season 1, episode 4. This one is called "To Save Deej." This is our first one that is not written by Paul Dini, and I have to ask, was that immediately apparent to you guys? Like, this is definitely tonally different.
Just the whole Willie thing. Maybe not get the memo that it's Whittle.
That's an interesting point. I'm going to talk about that. We do have some context for that. I don't understand why they went with Willie. The live action movies predate the animated series, and he is named Whittle in the live action movie. So why they abandoned that for Willie? And I'm just wondering if, like, kids are kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Whittle too close to Piddle, and like, is that just too close to? Is that too close to a profanity for 1985 that they opted not to use it?
Maybe.
I don't know. All right, so it's written by Bob Careau, directed by Raymond. I spelled that wrong. That's supposed to say Jaffalis. Its original air date was on Saturday, September 28th, 1985. The runtime is 22 minutes. Our episode synopsis this week reads: when Deej is poisoned by a deadly fungus, his sons search for ingredients to brew a cure.
I'm a broken record, but goddamn, every week it's something else gonna kill you on Endor.
Endor wants to kill you. Yeah.
No babysitting this week.
They evolved into murder bears for a reason.
They become murder bears for a reason.
Yes, right.
Absolutely.
Survive.
All right, so just like last week, we're doing it kind of cold here. I do have a little bit more structure this week because there are things I wanted to make sure that we did talk about. So I will get to the plot breakdown, and we'll flip flop back and forth between the stuff we want to expand on, and of course, you guys jump in anytime you want because that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Talking about the lethality of Endor once again, turns out even a family fishing trip is potentially fatal.
Mm-hmm.
Episode opens with Deej, Wicket, Weechi, and Whittle, along with Nisa for some inexplicable reason.
Because she likes Wicket.
Yeah, because she's the girlfriend, I guess. Yeah. Are out on a family fishing trip. Wicket, who's not interested in fishing, wanders off into the bush where he encounters Ring Ring the Guppin.
Yep.
Ring the Guppin. Oh, I've missed a slide already.
Uh-oh.
Let me just talk a little bit about the tonal differences. Bob Careau wrote this one. Just so we have an idea of his provenance. Bob's his very, very first gig. Oh my God, I have this way out of order. I'm so sorry. There we go. Bob Careau was working as George Lucas's personal assistant when he was given the job to write Caravan of Courage.
Wow.
Caravan of Courage was his first writing credit. He's got 14 episodes of Ewoks, 6 episodes of Wild West, Cowboys of Moo Mesa. He's the series creator of the 1990s show Maniac Mansion, and he did 12 episodes of Dragon Tales. And a lot of the Canadian cast of the show has virtually no internet presence. I could not find a photo of this man. So there you go. Talking about Ring the Guppin, I'm going to hold on to the big reveal about him until the end as it happens as we go, but we can't not talk about Ring up front, especially after last week when it was like, hey, did you guys know that Ron James was in this? Well, it turns out that Ring is actually played by Ron James. And as thank you to IMDb, by the way, for confirming that for me, because it's definitely not clear.
No.
And he's not going to tell us.
No, because he can't remember. Man, as a comedian, I hope he finds that funny.
I hope so.
I find it funny.
If he did an interview with us, it would have to be as Ring. That's kind of the only way I would do it now.
Hey, help, over here. They've been using me for target practice for like the last 3 hours. Hey, I'll dodge and you run. No, wait, you run and I'll dodge. Whatever. But you can hear it.
Yeah.
When you know that it's him, you definitely can hear it. So I found that very, very entertaining. Okay, so back to the family fishing trip. Wicket, not interested in fishing, wanders off into the bush where he encounters Ring the Guppin. Now, just as Deej decides that they're done fishing for the day, and he calls it, well, let's go home. Oh, by the way, Whittle has an encounter with a
tiny piranha-like fish that
he does
takes offense to him catching him.
It chomps its way up the line and then down the pole.
And then proceeds to bite him on the ass.
Yeah, like it remembers him too. It goes back, comes back,
And it
Finds
spits
it-
at him.
Spits water
finds
at
his
him.
weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Deej gets a bite, and turns out it's a freaking whopper.
Giant pink sturgeon.
I don't know what, like, if the camera is like closer to the fish, or if it's like, but to me that fish looks like it's about 3 or 4 times the size of an adult Ewok.
Yep.
There's no way he was landing that by himself.
No.
Well, the boys all try to help their dad land the fish, but the rod breaks and Deej takes a tumble and he falls backward into a tree that's covered in a sharp blue fungus, seemingly cutting himself. The fungus that we're talking about is the what's it called here? I've got a thing. Oh, there we go. It is called Rachna tree fungus. Let's go down to my notes here. I do some notes on this stuff.
Murder fungus.
Rachna tree fungus. This is a deadly tree fungus making its first appearance in Star Wars here. The tree itself was also depicted in the massive multiplayer online game Star Wars Galaxies. And in the 1996 novel Shield of Lies, that's book 2 of the Black Fleet Crisis, it is mentioned that the fungus is used to make the narcotic Rachna Blue. Its effects are listed at 1 microgram could elicit hours of bliss, but any more than that would be fatal.
Holy.
So it's the Star Wars equivalent of blue meth.
Yeah, and then there's also an entry that mentions that it's cheaper than Stygian spice.
Ooh.
Yeah, but
So-
it's rare.
So this is now 2 trees that can murder you in Star Wars. Because we have the fungus here.
Yep.
And then the one they introduced in the Acolyte. The weeping
Oh my
willow
gosh,
tree, they're
yeah.
Don't touch it, it'll kill you.
That's right. Forgot about that.
Trees are murderous.
All right, where are we at here? We're still
right.
on.
Murder trees.
Yes, murder trees. It says, so the boys all help their dad land the fish. Okay, the Rachna tree seemingly cutting himself on it. Now, Mring reveals himself to the Ewoks, while Weechi scolds Wicket for playing with him instead of being there for their now injured father. Mring asks if he can help, but Wicket says, "Oh, we've helped enough already." It's kind of like Weechi blames Mring for the accident.
Mm.
He certainly
He contributed to Wicket not being there.
I guess so,
Wicket,
yeah.
he tries to defend himself that he wasn't messing around, but really he was. So he kind of just hangs his head. He's like, yeah, I was.
That's true. But I mean, they knew that he was like, don't go too far.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. He was there in seconds.
And it's not like he probably couldn't have helped. Like,
No.
No,
the rod
like,
snapped.
the 3
more
big
pe-
ones are already pulling. What's one more?
No,
guy gonna
exactly.
help?
Exactly.
If anything, the rod would snap sooner.
Yeah.
Well, the Ewoks take their sick father back to the village, and Mring seemingly goes along on his way. At the Warwick family hut, Logray examines Deej, who now lays unconscious and has some kind of vision. What's with Logray and the visions?
So this
Horse
one's kind of
vision.
crazy for me. This one is like,
It comes with a poem.
yeah, and he's
it does, yeah.
Well, he's divining. Like, this isn't like, okay, I can look this up in a book. This is a spell. He's like, I'm searching the Force, and the Force is giving me this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm speaking in tongues, and it's telling me what to chant,
What to
and
do, yeah.
and that chant is the cure. This is an extremely powerful Force ability. This one, this one right here
Mhm.
is great. Like, he's like tapping into the ancestors who know the cure.
Yeah,
You-
absolutely.
You don't need books. That's a crazy power. This
'Cause
one
he
in
me-
particular.
Yeah, he mentions he's only ever seen this once before. So
That's right. So is there an element of recollection here?
maybe.
Or is this purely force driven?
Well, you would think so because the end line of it is like, or the Ewok soul will completely die.
Yeah, it's
die.
kind of like
Yeah,
he's not even. Yeah, it's
Like, they don't
someone speaking
sugarcoat it or
through them.
anything.
No,
It's
no.
funny that there's and this is talking about stakes. We've had stakes before, but like this one, like there's literally a ticking clock throughout this
Yeah,
episode.
you got to be back before.
You have to be back
sundown.
tonight.
Yeah.
It happened
the
this
sun
morning.
goes
You
down.
got to be back tonight, or he's not going to make it.
Yep.
Oh boy. As we say, Logray has a vision where he chants a rhyme that spells out the ingredients for a cure. The ingredients include what's called a star urchin, a lantern bird feather, and some frosh eggs.
Not college.
Yeah, exactly. Not Frost Week. The caveat being that they have to have them before the end of the day, or Deej will die.
And there's something he says at the beginning, and I can't recall exactly what it is, but he's talking about the future magic users or something. I don't know. We have to call up the actual words
In the chant itself.
in the chant, the very beginning of the chant. He's
Oh,
like, this is like a message to the future users of the magic or whatever it is.
Oh, maybe.
And it's like I don't know. That's a crazy power, man.
So I wonder if this is just to expand on sort of, because we've been talking about this for weeks now, sort of the Ewoks, Logray and Tebow in particular, as an alternate force using tradition. And a lot of the Ewoks spirituality is based around the trees. Well, midichlorians exist in all living things. Is this the trees communicating through the force to Logray?
Could be, because like they're part of the planet, part of nature.
That's
They
what I mean.
recognize
They
what
would
you need
be-
to cure from one of their own.
That whole interconnectedness.
There is like it's legends, but
Oh, don't worry, buddy. We're deep in the legends here.
Everybody hates it compared to me, but the courtship of Princess Leia, I think it's the
Oh boy.
yeah, I know. But it's the one on Dathomir, right? Is that the
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
And where Luke literally dies and the Force brings him back
to life. Yeah.
And it's like they don't really get into that level of the connectedness to the Force in anything that's canon that I've ever encountered yet. But he can feel like everything like as he's coming back to life, he feels like the insects, like the biome,
the biome,
like,
yeah,
and then like the planet breathing, and then the galaxy breathing, and then like and the Force bringing him back to life. So yeah, like it's super esoteric, but there's definitely a precedent for, when Yoda says, really, even in Empire, when Yoda says between the ship and the rock and the land and that tells me that everything has midichlorians, the rock, the ship, to some degree,
I mean, given that they're microscopic, if we think of them as bacteria, yeah, they could definitely be on everything.
Right.
Interestingly enough, we get our first I know I said it kind of in jest earlier, but we get literally our first family photo of the Warwick family. Crappy that Deej is unconscious at the time, but here's everybody, including Wicket's mom, Shodu, brothers Whittle, who, by the way, in this episode is called Willie
by everyone.
Yeah. Weechi, younger sister Winda. Now, all of these characters originated back in the A Caravan of Courage live action movie, and we can see in that Winda is just an infant in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely some passage of time between the live action movies and the animated series. Oh yeah, so we are off now, getting the
3 ingredients. Good thing they got
the 3 ingredients. However, before we can get the ingredients, we got to go and have a powwow over at Logray's hut, because
he's got maps and stuff.
Yeah, he's got a map to give them. However, Willie, thinking a little bit like Chewbacca, always thinking with his stomach,
right,
decides to help himself to a cauldron of mysterious contents.
Gummy berry juice.
Turns out that it is a levitation potion of sorts
that he was working on. He didn't even perfect it. He was
no.
just mixing it up. And then he's like, "Oh,
I wonder what this does."
That's dangerous. Oh, too late.
But the chanting voices told me to make it, so
makes a levitation potion, which
good thing there's a roof.
That just kind of takes me back to that whole discussion we've been having about the difference between what is the Force and what isn't. And this really blurs the lines between Force use and magic.
Or it's just Willy Wonka's fizzy drink.
That's true. Yeah, the levitation potion. How do we think it works? I have no idea.
Makes it lighter than air.
I would say this is it's some sort of
it's a kid show, guys.
Well, yeah, true. I feel like it's got biological qualities rather than like Force-like qualities to it. It wears off.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. And the funny part is he doesn't realize that it's worn off when it is.
But it doesn't last long because he drank a cauldron of it.
I'm still curious though, like what, and I get it. I mean, the last thing you want to do is have a physics argument in a Star Wars conversation. You know what I mean? Like space wizards and laser swords,
I got
right?
a
So
book
I
on
mean,
that shelf.
everything goes out the window. But it's still kind of like, well, that's interesting, because it does challenge our preconceived notions of
There
how
are things
Star
here
Wars
that would
works.
revolutionize the bounty hunting trade in every episode.
That's right.
And you gotta love it. Low grade solution. He just turns around, grabs 2 rocks.
I do love that super low
Here.
tech. Oh, and he had
Very
them
practical.
in his stuff.
Yeah.
It would take a while to make the opposite potion.
Like, was he anticipating like testing it on himself, and he'd already had the idea? I'll use these rocks for ballast,
Probably.
and it'll be fine. I don't know. Maybe he did. All right, so they go over to the hut to get the map. Not before Whittle helps himself to the cauldron of potion. And where are we here? Right. Leaving the village, Weechi decides that they need to split up in order to collect the ingredients in time. He sends Willie to get the feather because that is the least dangerous task. Do you think you can handle that? Wicket is to go after the star urchin, and Weechi himself will go after the frosh eggs because that's the most dangerous thing to do. It's a good older brother sentiment.
Mm-hmm. It could be argued though, but
yeah.
just because like Wicket has to face off against a freaking tribe of warriors.
As the boys wander away from the village, and this I was found completely jarring. The boys wander away from the village. Tebow, boop, pops out of the bush that they were standing in front of.
Yep.
Everybody's popping out of bushes in this
Having
episode.
basically just sat there spying on them, and decides, I better go to Wicket's hut to see what's going on. What the heck was he doing there to begin with?
Corner gas.
Just hanging out.
Oh, man.
Jackass. Yeah, it's kind of suspect behavior.
I'll say so.
Yeah. But I mean, who knows? The shaman types, very left
Maybe.
of center, probably.
You know, the Force just had me wait here because it knew that
On a low grade.
this is where I needed to be in this moment. Maybe. All right. Whittle spots the lantern bird flying overhead, and he follows it to the tree where it lives, but you can't climb the tree,
No.
which is hilarious considering that in the last scene,
He couldn't stay on the ground.
well, no. Look at in this one,
Yeah, he's
the
like
rocks-
a balloon.
the rocks are barely enough for neutral buoyancy. So he
Yeah.
should just be able to walk up the tree like
That's right.
no problem.
It's plot specific.
So he unties the rocks around his waistband, and floats up to the nest, pulling himself into it. But the nest is filled with lantern bird eggs, and the mama lantern bird ends up sitting on the eggs and Willie at the same time.
There's another case here of where he's floating. He's like pushing himself down to reach the feather.
Yeah, pulling
But
himself down.
then drops into the egg pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's almost
All right.
like Jerry from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, okay. Wicket finds the land of the Dandelion Warriors, and strangely enough, also finds Ring Ring tied to a stump. Ring Ring says he tried to help them by getting a star urchin, but he was captured by the Dandelion Warriors, who just happened to have been using him for target practice for the last 3 hours. Remarkably, not a single scratch on him.
No, they're not. Apparently, they're very, very bad at what they do. But they could tie knots, which is disturbing because they don't. I'm not clear whether they can actually move.
They can.
They can.
Yeah.
Or they just pop up wherever, like dandelions do.
When I get, I've got it. Where is it here? Hang on a second.
Get some shots of their legs.
I don't know if I have one with their. Oh no, I didn't. I should have got one with their legs. There is one where they've got their back turned to the camera, and you can see definitive legs and hips.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for sure there is.
Terrifying.
The Dandelion Warriors. Where is it here? The Dandelion Warriors reveal themselves and start shooting them with their urchins. Wicket and Ring Ring decide that one of them will act as a decoy while the other searches for the star urchin from amongst the fired projectiles. Finding one, the two of them run back to the village. These guys are kind of cool.
Lethal as hell.
Yeah. Of all of the lore stuff this week, this is probably the most interesting one. Where are we here? Let me get to it. The Dandelion Warriors. They're a sapient humanoid plant species that grow only in one particular meadow on Endor. When not moving, their yellow-quilled heads and green stem-like bodies make them look like giant dandelions. Now, the dandelion warriors draw nutrients from the soil just like an ordinary plant, and they normally remain dormant. But as an extremely territorial species, they will defend their lands by hurling the quills from the tops of their heads. And for everybody who watched the episode this week, it is the most metal thing I've ever seen in Star Wars because they are literally headbanging these things out.
Yeah.
Loved it. Well, the star urchin quill is listed as a 1 in 100 occurrence.
Extremely rare.
And unlike the normal quills, this one is venomous, which makes me wonder if that's why it is required for the antidote.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is kind of cool. This is where we get into the weeds here. In December of 2008, on StarWars.com, on the official fan club, do you remember Hyperspace?
Yeah.
The Hyperspace fan club?
Totally.
The Dandelion Warriors were detailed in an article called Castaways of Endor, where their species name was revealed as the Fitsift. Fitsift. Fun fact about that article, though, author Dan Wallace had written it 7 years earlier in 2001. He wrote it as a feature for the Star Wars Gamer magazine that was out at the time.
Oh, wicked.
Unfortunately, the magazine went under before it could be published, and it was he ended up repackaging it several times for StarWars.com before they accepted it 7 years later. Isn't that something?
Keep trying, kids.
Yeah. On to the next one. I apologize for the disjointedness here as I flip back and forth between my notes. Excuse me. All right, here we go. Did I go too far? I did.
Yeah.
Okay, meanwhile, Weechi has now arrived at the Frosh Cave, which happens to be located behind a waterfall. Entering the cave, Weechi is forced to duck behind a large rock in order to avoid a couple of frosh. Now, when he gets up, he's conveniently covered in frosh eggs. So he stashes a couple into his sack. We learn that the frosh eggs are sticky, like frog's eggs, I guess. And he stuffs a few into the satchel before the colony of frosh converge on him, which forces him to flee. Cornered in the cave with nowhere to go, Weechi dives into the underground river and he's swept out of the cave and over the waterfall, where he manages to grab onto a branch that's jutting out from a rock.
He does have a wonderful like cartoon moment though, where he's like trying to run on the goo.
Oh yeah, it's slippery. It was the feet don't fail me now moment.
Yeah.
Are we there yet? Did I get to it?
What, the frosh?
Do I want to talk about frosh now?
Something else to kill you.
Or we can. That's so true.
Does this remind you of the Mandalorian though? Suga.
A little bit, yeah. We can talk about frosh right now if you want to. Sure. Let me go to my frosh page here.
Frosh week.
Well, it's not spelt that way. It's spelt differently. It's spelt Frosch. Is that the same spelling? I think it's just SH.
I think they take
college.
out college.
This one is really scant on the lore this week for this one. They are a 6-legged giant lizard species native to Endor. They were created specifically for this episode, and their only other appearance is in the children's book adaptation of this very episode called Wicket and the Dandelion Warriors. That's it.
Terrifying.
And a hair lip though.
They do look like they have a bit of a hair lip.
Yeah. But they're still toothed.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just it's flipping back and forth. I apologize for that.
All good, man. All good.
Okay, so on their way back to the village, Wicket and Mring Mring end up running into Teebo, literally, who tells them that Willie and Weechi haven't returned yet. So together, the three of them decide that they have to go off and find them. Arriving at the lantern bird nest, because Teebo knows where it is, Teebo pokes the bird, dook, 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 and says, asks it if it has seen his, asks the lantern bird if it's seen Wicket's brother. The bird squawks at them, and it seems that Tebow isn't the only one with an
Yeah,
animal
right,
affinity,
right.
Ring can do it too.
as both Ring Ring and Wicket
And
talk
Wicket.
to the bird in a way that suggests they understand each other. I found that rather fascinating.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if he's like projecting with the Force the
conversation.
like just the understanding or whatever.
Like to them.
to them. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems more plausible to me. I was struggling with this one. I thought, well, maybe Ring Ring. I mean, Ring
Well,
Ring is obvious to me is Force sensitive, if
And there
not
is
a
a
Force user in some.
telepathic. There's a telepathic element to him for sure.
Yeah,
which is revealed later, but
I think Ring Ring was also the Domino's Noid.
just put a mask on him.
I actually thought for a second he reminds me. We were talking about the Yuzum back in episode 1.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like Ring Ring looks more like the Yuzum from Return of the Jedi than the purple guys do.
Yeah, a bit.
No Morag and no Dulox in this one, by the way.
No.
Yeah, so my friend lost his brother, and we were wondering if you've seen him. And then the bird squawks at them, and Ring Ring answers, "Well, we got up here, didn't we?" So obviously the bird is like, "How do you think an Ewok got up here?"
Right, exactly.
And then Wicket's like, "Not even a dopey looking one."
But that could, so we could explain that could be just Ewok inferring
Maybe, yeah.
the direction of the conversation, but certainly both the others.
Yeah.
I think so. Anyway,
Yeah.
Now, one thing when they do run into Tebow there, he kind of jumps back like, "Oh, what the hell is this thing?" And Wicket's like, "No, don't worry about it. This is Ring Ring." from
Yeah.
Land of
What's
the,
that?
Land of the Guptils or whatever.
The Guppins,
Guppins.
land of the Guppins.
But so that tells me at some point between them leaving the Dandelion Warriors and getting to here, they've had an extensive off-camera conversation. Like, okay, who are you? What are you? Where are you from?
That everything's okay.
Ring Ring.
Yes.
Because when they first meet him, he looks at, he's like, "Who are you?"
Oh, that's right.
But he doesn't answer. Then they just get into the back and forth
No,
growling and
yeah.
giggling.
Wicket gets on all fours and growls at him like a dog.
Yeah.
Arrgh.
Ring Ring from the land of the Guppins tells me that the cocaine in 1985 was excellent.
Quite possibly, yeah. So Whittle Willie.
You see a bunch of bird
Whittle
bubbles
Willie.
pop up.
Yeah, the bubbles pop out, and Whittle crawls out from under the lantern bird with the tail feather in hand, relieved from the heat of the mother lantern bird. And then the three of them.
Hot in there.
Good impression. Wow.
Nice.
The three of them together go off in search of Weechi.
I love this part though, where he jumps off. "Goodbye, fellow creature of the sky."
He just expects that he's still
completely
weightless.
unaware that the potion is worn off. He
Yeah.
jumps, and at least he took the ballast rocks off.
Yeah.
So he's only got that regular gravity working for him. Crashes into a bush below, but he's okay. At the waterfall, the boys find Weechi still clinging to the branch, and he's now screaming for help. Help! So, using a long stick, they pass a rope to him and they haul him to safety. But it is short-lived as the Frosh corner them against a ridge. Now, Willie, now what do you think you're doing? You think that Ewoks are good or something? Like, he literally tries to scold them.
Hey, what are you doing?
There's a moment where one of the Frosh stops and it looks at the other one like,
Is he trying to talk to us?
like, do you understand what it's saying?
yeah.
It's like, this is so meta. It's like, it's crazy.
But then they turn and they're going to eat him anyway.
That's right. Yeah. He scolds the Frosh for wanting to eat them, and then the lizards act confused for a moment before growling at them. That's enough to scare Willie, and with nowhere to go but up, the boys climb to the top of the ridge. Now, trapped on the ridge, Wicket says they'll never make it back in time. But then Ring Ring asks, well, what if we flew back? The boys are confused, but Ring Ring tells them that he has special talents, but he needs their help. They all have to think of a flying creature that's large enough to carry them all. And with the Frosh about to climb over the ridge, the boys concentrate. And as they do, Ring Ring mysteriously metamorphs into a giant bird-like creature. They all fly away. What?
Barbara Papa.
Clickety click, Ring
Give
Ring.
me another hit up that, will you? Watch what I do with this bird creature.
I tried to capture the metamorphosis process, and it's like he literally
He goes liquid.
turns into like a puddle of goo and
It's like that magnetic putty when you're pulling it in
Oh
seven
my
different
gosh!
directions.
Yeah.
That's a
like
crazy
pair of-
ability.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Like even the screen, like I guess they slow it down frame wise, but it flickers a little bit.
It does. Yeah.
And it's more like one of those Fantasia type moments, but
Going back to cocaine again, are we?
Yep.
Speaking of Mring Mring's metamorphosis, it turns out that the Guppins are a form of changeling, but there's a hitch. The hitch is that at least with Mring Mring, I don't know if that applies to all of them. We do get another episode with the Guppins later on, so we'll find out then. The hitch is it requires a form of telepathy whereby a bystander, in this case everybody else, envisions the creature that the Guppin will transform into. Is that
It
like
could be
the
why-
weirdest?
it could be explained why he's getting pulled in 10 different directions.
Oh, maybe
Like this is
towards
his
each
version,
of
that's
them.
that version, and finally we'll
Puts it
just
all
gel
together.
this
Oh, that's
version.
possible.
Is this them trying to spin off 4 episodes into the season?
I don't know. You know, they could each one of these episodes or each one of the items could have been its own standalone episode.
It's true.
And I feel like this is literally a case of like introducing Ring Ring now is just to set him up for
Later.
for later. I don't know how, because other than for providing a convenient escape route, like he doesn't really serve a purpose in this one.
Well, he's bait.
I guess so.
He draws the fire
as
for-
he runs. Woo, woo, woo,
Yeah.
woo.
super energetic.
I kind of thought like the way it was like, can I help at the beginning was like that he knew the cure, and the whole time they're just ignoring him.
Well,
Like-
like you said, he tried to get the urchin. Like he was. I didn't mention it, but there is when the family is gathered around Deej, Ring Ring's at the window looking in. So he's definitely privy to the conversation. I guess he thought, I'll just go and get the urchin and be done with it. Didn't work out that
Which
way.
means it took them 3 hours to go to Logre's hut and get the map and tie down Whittle.
Well, I guess so. We don't know how long it took them, walking like the walk. So
yeah,
there is that ambiguous passage of time. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, gone too far. Just as the sun is going down, Mring Mring and the boys arrive back at the Warwick family hut. Logre takes the ingredients and combines them with a mortar and pestle over a small fire. Then, holding the mixture bowl over his head, Logre begins chanting again and then pours the mixture over Deej's body. Now, slowly, Deej comes to, and the family is happily reunited. And the episode closes with an exterior shot of the family hut. Mring Mring stands there looking in through the window, and as the camera pulls back, just as Logre exits, and we fade to black.
You get a really heartwarming moment, though. Dad, can you hear me? It's
oh, that's right. When he cries over,
we're gonna cure you, Dad.
Everything's gonna be okay, Dad.
You just
it was
pour
the
it.
most. It was such an abrupt ending.
A little bit,
like abruptly, like okay, it's over.
He's good. We're done.
I felt like, and in that, I think is the biggest sort of thing for me that reminded me that, oh, this is a different writer. It just felt different than the other ones. And maybe it's the absence of like Morag and the Dulocks contributed to that. I don't know. But there you have it. That is episode 4 to Save Deej. What do you think, guys?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I wouldn't want to visit. You almost want to visit Endor when you see Return of the Jedi. You're like, well, maybe I'll find an old speeder bike laying in the ground. Or
Yeah.
I'll get to dance and eat meat with some cuddly bears. But then you watch this and you go, oh, I don't think I'd survive the night.
Don't touch that thing. Oh, look, dandelion. Don't
Stay out of
don't
that
go
field.
plucking them dandelions.
Yeah.
Don't
Avoid
touch the
this
blue
cave.
fungus.
This
Don't-
field belongs to this particular species of deadly sentient plant.
right.
Don't walk there.
Oh yeah, and there's this thing that wanders around called the Gorak, and it's
Yep. And the
and
giant spider.
and the flogs.
Indiscriminately big. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. The flogs are scale dependent on on whatever's happening. in the
On how
script.
close the camera is.
Right.
And then I watched Caravan of Courage and Battle
you
for
did?
Endor in succession there this week.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow.
And
how
again,
was it?
It was good.
Watching them,
Did
did you watch them the same day?
Day apart.
And how was it watching them back to back?
I didn't realize they were both connected like that.
Yeah, that it's Cinderella.
It's literally part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, like even in that, like giant spiders and another giant creature comes out of the mountains to kidnap them.
Yeah.
And
I love their Buck Rogers spacesuits in the first one at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
That's right. Eh? Oh man, this was okay. I had fun with this one. I really kind of watched it. Watched it 2 or 3 times now, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm reminded that we are watching a children's show.
Yeah.
Oh, heavy,
And it shows
especially
through it.
especially now.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
In a weird way, it felt less Star Wars than the first couple.
A little
Um,
bit.
You
Yeah, a
almost
little
lose the Star Warsness of the Ewoks when you pair them with Ring
bit. Some of the
or,
things that I
you
wanted.
know, like yeah,
I was hoping that somewhere in the last 39 years that somebody would have expanded on the lore for more of the creatures, like the fish. Neither of the fish, and that the fish that Deej had on the line, that was a pretty well drawn.
Mhm.
You know, I can excuse the piranha thing as a comedic moment. But
Yeah,
the big
throwaway.
fish. And then there was a little.
In the opening moment, there's like a little
amorphous-
leaf bug.
Well, his Whittle's bait. It was
Right.
the bait that he was trying to use, which
it's like a
basically-
leech,
Was that
like
the
some
same
kind
one?
of like yeah.
Because yeah, as they pan down, if you watch through the trees, there's just 2 little leaf bugs with like little shells walking down a tree branch.
Yeah,
Oh, crazy.
we had an
Yeah.
amorphous looking snail looking thing with no shell in this episode.
Yeah, and it dives out of the way when Weechi goes to the cave.
That's the kind of stuff that I'm, like I think of modern Star Wars, and we all make the joke. It's only a matter of time before every background thing gets a name.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, we're 39 years in, guys. How come these aren't detailed?
Untapped potential.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have more of that next week.
Maybe.
Wicked.
Whether we get any more reveals or not, we'll definitely have another episode next week. It is, I think,
Isn't it the traveling Jindas?
yeah. So next week, episode 5, the traveling Jindas. It seems like this block of episodes is all about other
Other
inhabitants.
species?
Yeah.
The first ones are sort of established, the Ewoks and the Duloks, and they have a conflict, and Morag is somewhere in the middle. This one, the Jindas, and then there's a second Jinda episode coming up as well.
Mhm.
Curse of the Jindas seemingly introduces more either transplant species. I don't know if the Jindas are native or not. I've already watched it once. It's interesting. It's kind of it's got a bit of a Cinderella sort of feel to it. This one is Latara centric,
Mm.
where she feels like she's not good enough, and so she runs away with the traveling show. It's kind of a funny one.
We should probably bring that up in that episode then. How different her design is from the rest of them.
Latara,
Yeah.
the long braid.
Well, not only the long braid, but like the more sexy eyes, the actual lips.
Yeah.
Oh,
When you
that's
put
true.
her next to
That is
Nisa.
true, yep.
She's got like way more.
I didn't keep the old slides. That's too
You know,
bad. I can't-
Zhuzh.
Yes.
Is that what we're gonna call that?
I think so.
Zhuzh. Yeah.
Let me see if I've got the old slide presentation. I can bring that up because we did.
She's the hot girl in school.
Yeah, basically.
No, I don't have our first presentation,
Mm.
or I could have brought up the slide.
That's all good.
Dang it! Sorry, can't bring it up. You're right. She does. She does have definitely a different. Oh, maybe I can just get a. Let's just do a screen share here.
Latara.
Ewok Latara. Oh, there's a good one right there.
Mhm.
Save. I'm just going to put this in as an
Overlays.
As an overlay,
That works.
and we can get a full. That's the one I want. What? Why are you not picking?
Oh, it's web page blocked.
Stand by. I can fix it. I can fix that.
Damn internet.
I can fix this. It just takes me a few seconds to manipulate it and play with it and change the file type. Because it's not like I don't do this every time we do a show.
Well, no.
Sometimes, you need to, though, like the stuff you want,
Mhm.
you just can't get it any other way.
Yeah.
which is fine. Yeah, so Latara. Oh, funny you should do that. It's the exact image we were pulling up. Yeah, they definitely draw her more Vixen-esque, I guess. Yeah. What is this nightmare? Is this a toy? Oh dear. Disney Parks, 2016.
That's the
Latara.
in that, like, she's gone back to the actual design.
This thing just looks like nightmare fuel, though.
It does.
Tell me this is going to save as a JPEG. Oh, it did.
did.
Too. Okay, I'm going to load this one up too.
How about some nightmare fuel, folks?
Latara.
This
before drugs?
Well, and then
after drugs.
I love
Wow.
that the tag has her photo of what she's supposed to look like.
What did she get a medal for?
I don't know.
Like surviving that long looking like that?
I don't know.
Wow.
She is
She
wearing
She is wearing a medal.
It's just
like a talisman or something.
yeah, something like that.
It's like somebody broke the Build-A-Bear machine.
But that's another right there on the top, right? Like the headband she's wearing is almost a throwback to like a 20s flapper style.
Oh yeah, I guess it really is, isn't
Right?
it? Yeah.
But
No, you make a good point on that one.
I don't know. Just
Ewok
one of
Build-A-Bears
the,
would kill.
they would.
Ewok Build-A-Bear. They would. I got a Build-A-Bear when they did a Star Wars thing for a while.
They had Grogu.
They had Obi-Wan.
So I have an Obi-Wan bear that I made when Kim and I went to the Build-A-Bear at Niagara Falls a bunch of years ago.
Nice.
And it's cool. To complete the look, you have to put him in cowboy boots because that's the only brown boots they had at the time. But that's what I did, and he looks pretty good. So let's go. I'm just going to go over to the menu here for what's coming up here. Yeah, our next one, the traveling Jindas, upset that her flute playing is unappreciated. Latara stows away with nomadic performers. That is followed up by the Tree of Light, where Wicket's brothers set off to restore the Tree of Light and are joined by uninvited guests. And then it's back to the Jindas with Curse of the Jindas, after Jindas save the Ewoks from Scandits. Not bandits, Scandits. Logray tries to reverse the Jindas curse. And then we get back to that episode that I was talking about where we go to the land of the Guppins. After rescuing Ring Ring and Ubel, Wicket and his friends journeyed to the Guppin homeland. So yeah, we get a whole bank of episodes devoted to other sentient species of Endor.
World building.
Yeah. And then just looking at the thumbnails here, it looks like we're going to get the Flogs again before the series is over. And then the last one, the season finale. I've already watched a bit of it. It's pretty cool. It's a bit of an origin story for Nisa's family, which is kind of cool. So yeah, really, we're talking. There's 13 episodes in the season. We're about to do episode 5, so we're almost
to that.
We're almost halfway. We're a third of the way through the season.
Nice.
Are we still having a good time doing
Oh
this?
yeah, hell yeah.
All right. I gotta wonder if our audience is half of them tanked tonight. We suddenly have half the audience we started with. I know it's not for everybody. That's okay.
It's bringing back lots of memories, though. Holy.
No, it really is.
They were there till we covered the end of the episode. Now
I'm experiencing this like I'd never watched it in my life, and like I have impressions of what I thought things were, which is why I was so confused. I'm like, I always remembered Wicket in the green hood.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, but that's season 2. And dare I say, that's the worst. The lesser appealing of them. But yeah, that's what I remember. Anyway, I'm hoping for more Ewoks. As I said last week, I'm still hoping for more Ewoks in an official capacity, in a canonical capacity. But I mean, if not, we still have this show that we can always fall back on.
True.
And with that being said, we'll be back next week with another one of these Tales from the Moon of Fandor.
And if Filoni is listening, return to Endor.
Return
to Endor.
Yeah. One night on Endor.
Yeah.
One night in Bangkok.
Oh, thank you, Kay. We will see you on Tuesday. Thank you very much for hanging out. You guys got anything you want to close on before we say goodnight?
I just never ever really want to crash on Endor. That's for sure.
Ever.
You'll be there for years.
I mean, maybe if they do the hunt for Darth Vader's helmet. It's actually a
Oh.
murder show because
To go and recover that from Endor,
right,
then-
and have to fight off guppins and dandelion creatures and
Flogs and
So
logs.
the remember your idea about let's do some fan fiction?
yeah. There it is.
There's a good one. if we tabulate, take your idea, Andy, and do a tabulation of every deadly species on Endor,
Mhm.
and then use that to write the hunt for Vader's helmet.
We would have like a Godzilla horror
Seriously.
movie, for sure.
The flogs were kicking it around as a toy for a while. I don't know.
They saw the fire and just stomped it out.
Yeah, really.
It's been an Ewok spittoon for like 6 seasons.
Wonder what the Dulocks are doing with it.
Oh,
Oh boy.
bowling.
All right, everybody. I think that's it for us for tonight. I hope you guys had a good time. I know I did, even if it was a little disjointed this week. I apologize for that. I'm still working out the kinks in this less is more format. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And remember, whatever your thing is, fan on, everybody. And on that note, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Hank.
And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, everybody.
Manamachu. Goopa Loopa. Gunda. Yep, yep. Manatutu. Chiagoba Fringawa. Goopa Loopa.